I turn my camera on. Hello, beautiful people. How are you? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna live stream on Instagram for probably about 30 minutes of this masterclass, and then they'll just have to hop on Zoom. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Oh, I thought it said I lost access. Okay, we'll see what happens. So welcome in. Thank you guys for joining. I am super, super excited for this masterclass. This is the first time I've done a masterclass like this, right? So this is the Healing from Herpes or Healing from HSV, right? Heal Thyself Masterclass. A couple weeks ago, and we'll go a little bit deeper into the structure and what you guys can expect. But a couple of weeks ago, God told me to tell my story about HSV. And I had the idea to do it about a year ago. And I posted a I posted a video to myself on social media, and then I never said anything about it again. And this year, it just felt a little bit different. So when God told me to start speaking up about it, of course, I listened, right? And now I have this community of people who were literally looking for my story and looking for a solution, right? And this is something that I'm very, very passionate about, something that I'm very proud of. But long story short, welcome, right, to Healing from HSV. This is going to be a 2-hour masterclass. I'm going to take you guys through a 7-step process that I created for manifestation. So we're going to use it specifically in this masterclass around health, herpes, and you. But you can use this formula for anything, right? It works for anything and everything that you're trying to create. But I want you guys, hold on, let me omit. I want you guys to take notes, right? I'm going to talk about a lot over the next 2 hours. I am going to give you more background about me, right? I'll answer any questions that you guys have, but this masterclass is really to give you the tips that you need, the tools that you need to actually heal yourself, right? I know a lot of us have been, programmed to believe that certain diseases are incurable. And while I believe that there might not be a cure, quote unquote, for some diseases. You can heal your body from any disease, right? We are made in the image of health, right? So I'll talk a bit more about what that means closer to the end of this masterclass. I am live streaming on Instagram for right now, so I'll be live streaming for about 23 more minutes, and then I'll just be focused on you guys. So if you do want to join the masterclass, you can click the link in my bio and join the Eventbrite link. Now, over the next 2 hours, we are going to go over the life recipe. I'm going to go step by step through each step with you guys and how you can apply it to healing your body, healing your mind, and healing your body. We'll talk about the mind-body connection. We'll talk about why some people, have results in these areas and some people don't. We'll also talk about a little bit of the practical like actions you can take in diets, right? That you guys can use as far as healing the body. But this is going to be a high level overview. I want to give you guys everything that you need to be able to move forward today if you would like with healing yourself, right? Make sure you take notes. Make sure you ask questions. If there's anything that I say that's unclear, please ask me to clarify it. I want to make sure, like I said, you guys get exactly what you're here for. So my name is M. Simone. If you guys are not familiar, right, I created the Great School of Life to help you guys create whatever your heaven on earth is. So in this specific masterclass, we are speaking of our heaven on earth being of health, right? Being healthy, or being, not experiencing the symptoms of herpes, right? So I've been doing this for about 5 years, right? Actually, the year that I had my first spiritual awakening, March 2020, was also the year in October 2020 that I had my diagnosis, right? So I will give you guys a little background about the story and how that all unfolded and how I got to where I am today. And then we'll go through the life recipe as we go along so that you guys can pinpoint certain parts of where I was to where I am now and where the life recipe helps you with that, right? Any questions so far? I'm going to assume not because you guys have not said anything in the chat. So I'm assuming we're good to go. Um, so, uh, 2020 was the beginning of this journey with herpes, right? I'm going to use quotations a lot. Um, do you have a I haven't gone through the process yet. So I'm going through this process that I'm going through with you guys, or this process that I am creating with you guys. I am also going through. Before a couple weeks ago, was not focused on healing my body from herpes. It just because it hasn't really affected me. It hasn't really affected my life in a negative way. And that's a bit of what I'll talk to you guys about. But no, as soon as God told me to start speaking about it, and everybody came to me, right? And you guys were looking for help. I'm going through this journey with you guys, right? So I've used the life recipe for other areas of my life. This is going to be specific for HSV. So we will all be going through this together. So no, not yet. But 2020 was the start of this whole process, right? This whole who said I can't find your TikTok account anymore. I'm not sure why, Sarah. It's the same TikTok account. I'm gonna put it in the chat real quick. MSB Influence, and then the Great School of Life 111. I also haven't been on TikTok today, so I have no idea what's going on. Like I literally, uh-oh, one more. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I don't know what OBS is, Anna. You got to give me a little bit more context. So for me, right, this journey started in 2020. So I was in a relationship for about 4.5 years. And oh no, I don't. No, the last outbreak I had was probably in 2023, like early 2023. So it's been a couple years. So the relationship that I was in, right, I was in a 4.5 year relationship, right? And during that relationship, I was with and it's 11/11 as well. I was with a partner who was unfaithful as far as sexually and, in other ways. So for me, I was in that relationship. I knew of the infidelity very on in the relationship, like 6 months into it. But I denied the signs, right? I kind of ignored what I saw, probably from a place of insecurity, probably from a place of I don't want to be lonely, from a place of, well, if I let go of this, then will I be able to get something else? Like it was a whole lot of um ideas that I had in my consciousness around life, around relationships and things like that. And that's what this is going to be about. I want you guys to understand that everything that's in your body starts in the mind. Nothing that's in your body started in your body. Your mind and your body are connected. They cannot be separated. So if there is anything in the body, any dis-ease in the body, it is supported by an idea of dis-ease in your mind, in your consciousness, right? So I had all these ideas about, who I wasn't and what I couldn't accomplish and what I couldn't do and why I should stay and X, Y, and Z. So, about a year into the relationship, I got the first STD. And I remember calling him and I was crying and I was like, you got me fucked up, just going very upset about it, but also staying in a relationship with him, right? And then some more time passed. I got the second STD, same one as the first. And I'm like, okay, at this point, something like you really don't care about me for real. But I didn't leave. Again, I stayed in the relationship. So 2020, October 2020, which was like late September, right, was the last time I was intimate with that person. And after that time, right, maybe a week went by and I just felt very uncomfortable. My lady parts felt very uncomfortable. And I was like, something's going on down here. I'm not sure what, but something's happening. So I go to the doctor, of course, they do their test and then they call me back, maybe like a week and they're like, hey, it looks like you tested positive for herpes, HSV. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So at that point, that was really the what do they call it? The straw that broke the camel's back that had me leave that relationship, right? But I was furious. I was very upset. I felt like I felt like I wasn't enough. I felt like there was a lot of shame now. Now I was gonna have to live with this. Now I was gonna have to talk to people about it. What does this mean about me, right? Does it mean that I'm damaged? Does it mean that I'm not good enough? Does it mean like all of these things? And you go to the doctor and the doctors aren't helpful. They're very programmed to see these things every day. So they're desensitized to it. So the doctor was very helpful. She was just like, yeah, this is what it is. You're going to have outbreaks. And then, you may not never have an outbreak again. It was really that was the end of the conversation. So October 2020 is when I first got the diagnosis. And then I didn't start dating again until March 2021. So about, how many months is that? October to, so about 5 months? About 5 months. So I went about 5 months, like in shame, not really wanting to step out, not really wanting to date or anything like that. I really wanted to work on myself. I didn't do too much work on myself, but I did want to just stay to me, right? And then when I did start dating, in March, I remember the first person I told. I talked about this on TikTok because somebody asked me how do you, how to or how to speak on your diagnosis or how to tell people about it. And I remember the first guy that I told, I was sitting in his car, we were sitting in the car and I was crying my eyes out because I had these ideas about what it meant about me, right? And what other people were going to think or what other people were going to say. And he was basically like, it's cool, love. Like, it's really not that serious, right? So that was the first encounter I had. The second encounter was very similar to that. And the third was very similar to that. So for me, I've had, you know, in the relationships that I've had after, right, finding out about HSV, I haven't been rejected for it. And I believe that a part of that is because of how I see myself and how I see it. I don't It's not mine. It's not something that I have. It doesn't diminish my worth. It doesn't make me less worthy. It doesn't make me less deserving. It doesn't make me dirty. It doesn't make me damaged goods. Like it doesn't create any type of negative identity for me, right? So what I want to do for you guys is I want to help you get to the root of your identity currently around it. Because as long as you see yourself as, somebody that has herpes or somebody that, somebody that not people aren't going to want to be with because you have herpes, or you can't have children because like, I want you guys to really uncover how you see yourselves around it so that you can get to whatever your heaven on earth is, right? I assume, and I will have you guys set your intentions, right? I assume that your intention, right, is to rid the mind and the body of the disease, right? To go to a place where you no longer experience it, right? It's no longer a part of your life. That's what I assume. Now, I will have you guys, okay, perfect, right? So I will have you guys set your intentions as well, right? But I want you to know, right, especially while you're going through this process, what is it that you want to get from it? Right? What do you want to gain from going through this process? Because it's not going to be difficult, right? But it's going to be a process, right? It's a process of uncovery. It's a process of, replanting. It's a process of, healing the body. So it's not like I said, it's not a difficult process. It's very simple. The process is simple, the same 7 steps. It works with everything. But the actual, embodiment of it and becoming this new version and, actually living by the new identity that you give yourself, that is what the process is actually, for, right? So, for me, I didn't have a time where someone rejected me for it, for one. So I have a belief system that it doesn't define me. I also had my son, right? So I became a mom about a year and a half ago now, right? About 18 months. So my son is 18 months, right? I had my son vaginally, right? That was something that was talked about, right? Like you wouldn't be able to have children in certain ways, right? Like vaginally. That's something that I was told. And I don't know, I know for me, I wasn't having an outbreak, so it wasn't an issue. And I think that that's something that you guys can do as well. Like if you want to have children, even in the process of you healing your mind and healing your body from the disease, if you decide you want to have children, there's still a reality where you may still have the positive status, right? But your child is still unaffected by it in any way, shape, or form, right? So I don't want you guys to. The other thing is, I want you to get to a point where, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I want you guys to get to a point where you're okay either way. Like if you're okay with your life if you do experience it or if you don't experience it, right? Now, the goal, of course, and what we're going to do together is rid, like I said, your mind and your body of it. But the more that you're attached to an outcome, right, the more that you create resistance between you and it. So like I said, we'll talk about what that means. But I want you guys to know, like, the reason why I'm starting this process now, literally, is because I got on social media, I told my story, and you guys flocked to me. Literally, that's it. Before the 2 weeks, I was not thinking about HSV. Like, it's not a part of my daily life. So I was fine with it. I was fine without it. Like, I've, of course, wanted to get to a point and am getting to a point where I am completely, healed. But it wasn't like it didn't define how my life was run, right? Whether it's with me or whether it's not, right? So I want you guys to also have that same type of mindset around it. Like you can still live your best life right now, like today, like this point, right? Regardless, right? So, and that's what I want. I want you guys to be okay with either outcome. Now, of course, like I said, the goal and where we're going and where I'm going to take you is to your health, right? Because every single one of y'all, which we'll talk about a little bit more in step 3 of the life process, every single one of y'all is God in human form, and we're going to talk about what that actually means, right? I still feel deep down without a negative test, I can't move on. I understand, Sarah, right? I totally get that, but we're going to uncover some of that for you today so that you can work through that. So you can get to a point, right, where like it doesn't define me, right? Like that's what I want for you guys. I want you to get to a space where it doesn't define me. I'm living my life now regardless of what anything says. And while we're going through the process of healing the mind and the body, right, you're detached from the outcome, which brings it to you a lot easier, right? So absolutely, that's what we're going to go through. But yeah, that's just a little bit of background about me, right? My son's father at the time was the love of my life, so that was not an issue for me. I have not been someone who has passed it, right, to anybody else. And I know that's something that's a fear that people have, or like what if I give it to somebody else, right? There's a lot that goes on, and what you guys will understand and come to learn is that your transformation comes from the renewal of your mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's literally what life in general is about, right? It's about renewing the mind so that the reality will follow. Everything that you guys experience physically, right, comes from the spiritual and mental realms, right? It's not everything in your reality is a product of your mind, right? Your consciousness. So that's why God was very clear, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's why this process that I'm going to take you through starts in the mind and then goes into the body. We're not going to go into trying to take some herbs and change some diets and eat some food when the mind still has the idea of sickness. Because you can heal the body, quote unquote, but if you don't go into the mind and remove the belief, right, that's actually supporting it, it's just going to be manifest again through your physical world, right? So I want to get you guys to a point where it's no longer your reality, right? It doesn't exist in your awareness, right? So first things first, I want you guys to set your intentions, right? So if you want, you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, I just want you to write it down for yourself. Why are you taking this course? Why are you going through this masterclass? Why are you like, what is it that you want to gain? What is it that you want to create, right? Like I said, I know what I believe it is, but I want you guys to know. I want you guys to be able to tell yourselves what it is that you're going to get out of this, right? Because it makes sure that you have a why, like I said, when things get a little bit tough, right? Because like I said, I'm not gonna tell you guys that this is it's an easy process. It's very simple, but the process of actually becoming this new version of yourself, it takes a little bit. It takes a process. So that's what we're gonna go through. I want to completely move on from this and start living my life again. Beautiful, right? So Sarah knows exactly where she's trying to go, right? She knows exactly where she wants to go, right? So while she's going through this process and she gets to a day where she feels like, you know what, I just want to give up. I feel like whatever I'm doing is not working because the outside world hasn't reflected to me yet. Sarah remembers why she's doing this. She has the intention at the forefront. Okay. Now, the process, I want to feel normal again. Okay, perfect. Right. The process that I want to take you guys through is going to be the life recipe, right? This is a 7-step process that I created for manifestation. Now, I'm going to go through this process with you guys, right, as far as HSV goes, but I've used it for other areas of my life. This is just what we're going to focus on today. And the first step in this process is self-awareness. I want you guys to understand that your mind operates just like a GPS, the GPS that's on your phone. And if you're on Instagram, I'll be on live for about 7 more minutes. If you guys are interested in joining the masterclass, you can click the link in my bio, you can join the Zoom, and then you'll be over here. What was I saying? I was talking about, GPS. Excuse me. Right? So every single one of you has a GPS, right? You have what I call either your God-given purpose of service or your God-given paradigm system, right? In this specific seminar or masterclass, we're going to talk about your God-given paradigm system, okay? That's your GPS. Now, before I get into what that means, I want you guys to think about the GPS on your phone, right? The GPS on your phone has to know 2 things if it's going to take you anywhere, right? If you want to get to Texas, Hold on, let me make sure I got the chat. Okay, I got everything in the chat. If you want to get to Texas, right, you first, for one, need to put in a very definite destination in Texas. Like just saying Texas is not going to get you to where you want to go. You need to be specific. But more importantly than being specific about where you're going, you have to have my location in that GPS. You are not going to go anywhere if your GPS does not have my location. You have no idea where you're starting from. How are you going to get to the destination you want to go to? If you get in your car right now and you don't know where you're starting from, which way are you going to turn? Right? It's an impossible situation. So when we are going through this process of the life recipe, we are not starting with what life you want to live. We're not starting with what the dream life is. We're not starting with the new you or the elevated you, the you that remembers who they are. We're going to start with who you believe you are currently, because where you're at currently is creating the life that you're living currently, right? We're speaking specifically of HSV and we're speaking of health, right? But your GPS is the system for all of your life. Every area of your life is controlled by the GPS. And if you don't know how the GPS is currently programmed, right, you don't know how it's getting you to your current reality, it's going to be an impossible situation for you to get it to program to your new reality, right? You have to uncover the current program to reprogram it, right? So what I want you guys to understand in the first step is we have to figure out how you see yourself currently, right? You have to figure out, you have to pull these seeds out of your mind, right? There is a belief around herpes, HSV. There's a belief around sex, right? You probably have a belief around health, around yourself, and around God. You can also put STDs in there, herpes and STDs, you can put that together. So you have beliefs, what we call seeds, in your mind right now that are rooted, that are grounded. And just like the seeds that are rooted and grounded outside, they will continue infinitely to produce trees or fruit in harmony with the seed. As long as the seed is rooted and undisturbed, it will produce an abundance of the fruit in harmony with that seed. So for you all, right, everybody on this masterclass is experiencing in some type of way HSV symptoms or has experienced HSV symptoms, right? And we can take all of the medications that the government gives us, all of the pharmaceuticals, right? All of this garbage to suppress the symptoms. But if you don't go to the root cause of the problem, if you do not go to the seed, it's going to come back again and again and again and again. It's not going to leave permanently. You can suppress the symptoms all you want, but you still have the belief around yourself. You still have the belief around herpes, or HSV, or STDs. You still have the belief around sex. You still have the belief around health. You still have the belief around God. These beliefs are still rooted. The seeds are still rooted. So as long as they're rooted and undisturbed, and they are undisturbed because you don't even know that they're there, therefore you're not disturbing them. As long as they're undisturbed, they are going to continue to produce the symptoms of the dis-ease in harmony with the negative belief. Okay? So the first step in this process is self-awareness. I want you guys to ask yourself, right? I want you to write this down. Make sure you guys are taking notes, because everything that I give you today, if you take what I give you and you implement it over the next however long, you will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So make sure you're taking notes. So the first step in the process is self-awareness. Okay? What I want you guys to ask yourself, you're going to ask yourself some questions. What do I believe about sex? What do I believe about health? Right? What do I believe about myself? All these questions start the same. So you can just put, what do I believe about, and then you can put myself, God, health, like list them out. What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about God? What do I believe about health? What do I believe about sex? What do I believe about herpes and STDs? Right? So I want you guys to think about what it is you believe about these things. What I'm having you do in this step is I'm having you disturb those seeds that have been rooted. Because up until now, you were not consciously aware of the seeds that were rooted. You probably didn't even know there were seeds that were rooted. How can you be aware of something you don't know exists? Again, an impossible situation. So I want you guys to ask yourself those questions and pull up the seeds, right? Now, I'm going to give you guys, as I go through this process, I'm going to give you my steps. I'm going to give you my answers to these questions so you guys can have a real world example of how this literally manifests in your life, right? Now, Instagram, I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. If you guys are interested in joining the masterclass, you can click the link in my bio and you can join the Zoomy Zoom. Okay. Yeah, we'll share it for now and then I'll update it later. Oh, it's asking me too many questions. Oh, we'll just leave it. Okay. So, yeah, we'll just leave it. So, let me close that because it's going to distract me. So for me personally, right? When I started to go through this process, I started to go through this process initially, probably maybe a month and a half ago. Maybe about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months, right? I started to go through the life recipe process, right? Because I knew, and clearly that was the indication that I was going to, start this process. Now that I'm thinking back on it, now that I'm looking back, right? But probably like 2 months ago, I started talking about healing on my YouTube channel, and I talked about the first two steps in the process, and then I kind of really didn't talk too much about it, right? But then I got on Insta or TikTok, right? Started to talk about it a couple weeks ago, and now here I am actually going through this process. So I went through the first couple of steps already, but I want to give you guys the insight you need to actually heal yourself, right? When I was younger, right? Because the first question I asked you is, what do you believe about sex, God, yourself, health, STDs? So this is going to be about sex and STDs specifically, right? So when I was younger, when I was in like late elementary school, right? I might have been like 10 or 11. My mom decided, she decided that that was going to be the time that she was going to talk to me about sex, right? And to my mom's credit, right, she was trying to protect me. She was trying to give me knowledge. She was trying to give me information so that I can avoid road bumps, right? Or bumps in the road. So essentially, though, what she did was she gave me this idea, this fear of sex and of STDs, right? Because the way that she spoke about it, right, about having sex, it was like you have to protect yourself from it, right? It's something that could harm you. Even the terminology we use now, unprotected sex, like you're never unprotected, right? You're literally God in human form. And we'll talk about again what that means, but you're never unprotected. Now, I understand what it means physically, but I want you guys to understand the language that you're using is very, very important. It's not just, they're not just words, right? It's spelling for a reason. Like everything that you're saying is casting a spell through which you're going to see life. So I'm not saying that protected or unprotected is, good or bad. What I'm saying is the way that whatever words you use, they have a feeling associated with them. I made a video on TikTok and somebody said, how do I not infect other people? And I said, I started the video saying something, and then I said, and the other thing is like you're using the word infect. Like that feels a certain way. Like it feels gross. It feels disgusting. Like it feels like you're contagious. Like it feels like you're like there's something wrong with you. Don't use that word, right? The word that I used in the video was passing. Like I've never passed it, right? Like, but infect just sounds it has a feeling to it. There's a connotation to that. So my mom basically, right, was trying to give me the protection around sex and around unprotected sex and STDs. And she pulled up pictures. Like to her credit, she was really trying to give me the knowledge, right? And our parents, can only give us what they have. Our parents also don't know that they're programming literal computer system, literal minds that will create the reality that we live forever unless we change it. They're not aware of that. Now, you guys being in my energy and being on this class, your awareness about life is shifting rapidly, like exponentially. And you may not notice it on this call, but the days coming after this, like the next week, right, you'll start to see and hear things differently, right? Because what I'm doing now is I'm bringing more ideas into your awareness, right? Awareness, I want you guys to think about the word awareness, right? When you're aware of something, right, you can see it, right? You can probably feel it, hear it, what is it? Touch, sight, touch, sight, smell, hearing, taste, whatever. I don't know how they go I need the order, but you're not going to be aware of anything physically that you're not first aware of consciously. So the word conscious means aware. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is I'm making you guys conscious to or aware of ideas that have always existed. You just aren't experiencing the reality of them because they're not in your awareness. You're not aware of them. And you can only see physically what you see mentally. Okay. So for me, my mom had a conversation with me. She's talking about sex does this, it can happen this, you can have this happen. And then she's like, show me pictures of like, this is what it could look like all kinds of stuff. Now, I am a child, a fertile soil, right? The seeds that my mom planted, right, were rooted in fear of sex, fear of STDs, right? Fear of myself, because if I did something wrong, then I might get something that I can't get, like a whole, and that I can't get rid of. That's another belief too, right? So there was this whole, these seeds that were planted in the garden when I was around the age of 10, right? Like 10 or 11. I was in elementary school. And then they sat in the background in the program, running in the background that I was not aware of, right? Unconsciously. And it was in the background on autopilot. And then 19 years old came. Well, 18 years old is when I actually had sex. But 19 came, I got the first STD. Then probably 20, then I think I was 20, what, 23? Yeah, when I got when they gave me the herpes diagnosis. So it took, 9 years to manifest, but nonetheless, it manifested in my reality. Right. So not every idea that you have today is going to manifest right now. Right. Some ideas take a lifetime to manifest. That's not an issue. Right. It's just that's period of, that's just the period that idea has to go through, that period of time that it has to go through to develop. Right. I said all that to say, what I want you guys to do in the first step is I want you to ask yourself those questions. And then I want you to ask yourself, are these beliefs limiting or empowering? Right? So if a belief that you pulled up, right, was herpes is incurable, right? Because that's what they tell you. They tell you that it's incurable. And again, while the idea that there is no cure for herpes may be true, the fact is you can heal yourself from any disease. Just because it's incurable doesn't mean you can't be healed from it. It just means that they haven't found a cure for everybody to not have it ever again. And they're not, because they're not working with the right part of this process. They're working with the body and not the mind, right? So I want you guys to ask yourself, though, from the questions, right, that herpes is incurable. Is that limiting you or is that empowering you? Is that empowering you to create the life of your dreams? To believe that you're stuck with something? Limiting. Why is that limiting? Why is it limiting to believe that you're incurable? One, because it limits the power that you actually have as God in human form, God's highest form of creation, God's children. It limits that power, but it also keeps you bound, right, to a dis-ease. It keeps you bound to discomfort. That's what the word disease, right? Disease, disease. If you hyphenate it, right, because it's actually hyphen. Like the English language and language in general is, again, we're talking about spells. So everything is worded in a certain way. But if you take a hyphen and you separate dis and ease, right, it's dis-ease. It's a body that's not at ease, right? Your natural state of being is ease, is at ease, is health. That's naturally your state of being. But you have accepted an idea in sickness, herpes is incurable, right? I can catch STDs, right? If I'm not careful, right? Sex is something to fear, right? I'm going to be less than if I have STDs. Like all of these ideas that we hold, these limiting beliefs, right? All of these experiences that we've gone through, right, are keeping us in a place where we don't have the mindset or the tools to actually heal ourselves. We're just in a perpetual state of, this is what I'm experiencing. I take some medication, it goes away for a little bit. I experience it again. I take some medication, it goes away a little bit. I experience it like it's a cycle, right? So, every time I do this, I'm supposed to have this up this whole time. So, excuse me. I want you guys to understand why they're limiting, why the beliefs are limiting, right? And then I want you to also, oh my goodness, why do I keep doing that? hold on. I want you to understand why the beliefs are limiting. And then I want you to ask yourself, where do they come from? Right? This is very important. I want you guys to understand where your beliefs come from. If you actually sit down and you go through these steps that I'm giving you, right? And I want you to go through them now. But when you go through these steps and you start to see, like, a lot of the ideas that you hold to be true, you got from your parents or you got from the world, right? You got from social media, right? I know for me as a woman, and I don't know because I'm not, a man, but I know for me as a woman, like we have so much pressure on our bodies to perform a certain way. Like it has to smell a certain way, it's got to look a certain way, it's got to work a certain way, it's got to feel a certain way. There's like all this policing about how your body is supposed to work. And as a woman growing up, right, you start to feel like you're not enough. Like you don't like you're not in control of your own body. And you need something outside of you, some type of product, right, to help you regulate your body, to help you get to whatever the status is that they should say you should be at. Like I don't know about the male, the male species in this specific aspect, but I know that there's a lot of pressure on women to for our bodies to be or act or look a certain way, right? A lot of the beliefs that we have come from our experiences as children, right? Like I remember as a child, of course, that situation that I told you guys about with my mom, right? But I also remember as a child, somebody telling me, like a cousin of mine telling me that I stunk, like I stink, like my body smells, right? And from that point forward, I held this idea that I was smelly, that I stink, like I smelled. And every partner that I've been with and everybody that I've been intimate with has always affirmed that that is literally the exact opposite. But since that belief is so rooted and I haven't gotten to the cause of it, I have now, right? But I hadn't got to the cause of it. It was like a perpetual cycle in my head of me being in my head the whole time. But this whole fear around sex, then you're like you don't know how your body works, so you're trying to match to what the outside world tells you, and then you have certain experiences where somebody says something or you get this idea that you are X, Y, and Z, and it creates your identity. It creates all of the ideas that you are aware of in consciousness. And what I told you guys earlier was everything that's in your consciousness, everything that's in your awareness, everything that's in the mind is manifested through your body into your reality. Anything in your reality is supported by an idea in the mind. Everything. Everything you see physically is supported by an idea in the mind. Everything you see physically came from an idea in the mind. This Zoom came from somebody's mind. Somebody had an idea before COVID or like during COVID, because Zoom or maybe just blew up during COVID, right? Like people should be able to communion from anywhere in the world. And it should be super simple. And you can have this many, whatever it was. It was an idea first. And now it's physically in our world. This drawing right here, this logo for the Great School of Life started in my mind. I had an idea of what I wanted to look like. And I created this. Literally. Out of my head. Everything starts in consciousness. Everything starts in the mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's stated that way for a reason. Okay? So the last step in the first step of the process, right? We're still in the self-awareness step, but the last piece, so you have, what do I believe? Is it limiting or empowering, and why? Where did it come from, right? And is it absolutely true or is it relatively true? Right? Now, I want you guys to understand that there is a difference between things that are absolutely true and things that are relatively true. Okay? A relative truth is an idea that's true sometimes, relative to a person, an experience, a situation, a country, a culture, right? A relative truth is true relative to something, in comparison to something. For example, being fat, right, is undesirable. That is a relative truth here in America. That's where most of us are. I had somebody register from Beijing. I was like, you know what? I'm global. Okay. Now, what was I talking about? That threw me off. What was I saying, y'all? Relative truth. So relative truths, right, are true sometimes. Here in America, it is relatively true that being fat is undesirable. You can go to other countries, some Eastern countries, and be the same plus size or fat woman that you are here in America and have men at your feet. Like they are literally looking for thicker women. That is a relative truth. It's true relative to where you are. It's true relative to your experience. It's true relative to you. It's true relative to some social construct. However, an absolute truth, like the law of mathematics, like the law of gravity, the law of gravity states everything will be grounded. Everything. There's nothing outside of it. If you jump off the side of something, you're going to be grounded 100% of the time. 100% of the time, if you drop off the side of a building, you're going to be grounded. That's absolutely true. So when you start to go through these ideas that sex is something to be feared, or that herpes is incurable, or that there is anything called an incurable disease or something you can't heal from, right? You'll start to see that 99.999999, I mean, I would dare to say 100% of your beliefs are relatively true, right, to you or a specific situation or a specific country, right? There are people, and you guys can Google this, right? There are people that talk about healing themselves from all kinds of diseases. There is this is not specific for herpes, but the documentary, it's called Heal. I believe it's on, was it Prime that I watched it? Beautiful documentary. Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me pull this up because I don't want to forget. Heal documentary. It is on Prime. Yes, so it's on Prime, right? So you can probably find it somewhere else. But, of people talking about healing themselves from so-called incurable diseases, right? So that's all in step one. The biggest piece of this process for you guys is going to be self-awareness, and then this next step that we're going to go into, right? Which is the forgiveness step. Because what I've learned throughout this process of just being a manifestation leader and a mentor and a coach and a spiritual, someone who's spiritually enlightened, right? Everything that we experience, right, until we actually acknowledge it, until we actually face it, until we actually recognize it, right, we are not going to be able to move forward in a way that is truly beneficial for us. We've had a lot of experiences, especially people that, experience HSV symptoms. Like that's not like just something small. Like that's a pretty significant experience in your life, right? Especially when you're programmed to believe that it's yours and that you can't get rid of it, and that it's, always transmitted through sex and X, Y, and Z, and sex is how you get it, and you have to, like, there's so much around it. There's such a story that you've been telling yourself that's no longer serving you, right? If you actually expect to be healed, to be transformed, mind and body, you have to forgive yourself. So when you pull up these seeds, when you pull up these stories that you've been telling yourself of, like I said, being fearful of sex, right? Herpes being incurable. I'm less than because I experience the symptoms, right? No one's gonna want me, right? How am I gonna do this? Well, my life is over. Like all that story is not serving you anymore. Like that story, the longer you continue to tell yourself that story, the more it's going to be your reality. So the forgiveness step two, right, is where you guys actually give the story that you've been telling yourself of why you can't be successful, right? Why you can't have the life that you want to have, why you can't move forward, why you can't heal yourself. The story that you've been telling yourself, you have to give that story for a better one. That's what the word forgive means, right? You're going to give the story you've been telling for a better one, right? Forgiveness means to let go of completely. We want to let go of these seeds that we just pulled up. This seed right here, we just uprooted this seed. So this tree can no longer be supported because we've uprooted this seed. Now we have to actually get rid of this seed. We got to move this seed all the way out of the way to put a new seed right there. You have to let go of that story that you've been telling yourself. Like, it's not serving you anymore. We're going to create a new story, absolutely. But the one that you're holding on to right now of you being any type of less worthy, deserving, less than, because of a experience that you have, that's not serving you. That's not going to get you guys to your heaven on earth. That's not going to get you to the life where you have healed your mind and your body. It's not going to do it. You have to give that story. And it might be for you first, you're going to be forgiving yourself. Like, I forgive you, right, Sarah, for believing in this. I forgive you, Diamond, for believing in this. I forgive you, Mike, for believing that you're less than. I forgive you, M. Simone, for believing that, you should be fearful of sex and that if you're not careful, you could da. Like, I forgive you for that. You're going to have to forgive yourself because there's the little version of you, right? 7 years old, that is literally looking for your comfort and looking for your acceptance. Because a lot of the beliefs that we got at a very young age, right? That not enough belief, right? That money doesn't grow on trees belief, that we're living in scarcity belief, that you got to doubt, you got to worry, right? The diseases that run in your family, diseases don't run in your family. Diseases don't run in your family. The belief in sickness runs in your family. The belief in the disease is what runs in your family. The disease doesn't run in your family. And then you go to the doctor, right? And what does the doctor do? The doctor asks you for your past medical history to then make an assumption about your present and your future. Well, let me let you guys on a little secret, right? The law of assumption doesn't state, right, that the past will automatically be your future, right? It states that whatever you assume to be true will be your truth. Actually doesn't say anything about the past at all. So you can absolutely use your past to determine your future if you would like, or you can assume the future you would like to have and then have that future, right? But doctors aren't programmed to tell you that. Doctors aren't programmed to know that. Doctors work with the body and the body solely. That's why they cannot heal people, because they're not going to the cause of the problem, right? But luckily for the whole world, right? God created me. I slipped through. I wasn't even supposed to be here. It said my parents weren't even supposed to have kids. Okay. So already escaped so many odds, right? The healthcare system will be reformed before I leave. You can bet your bottom dollar. Because the more that we just try to work with a physical effect, we're not going to be able to heal anything. You can't heal from a physical. You heal from the mental. The mental is the physical is the instrument of the mental. Your body is an instrument of the mind. Whatever's in your mind will be in your body. If it's in your body, it's in your mind, right? And if you want to get to the cause, if you want to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, you have to get to the root, which is what we're doing. So that forgiveness step. First, I want you to forgive yourself. I want you to write out what you're forgiving yourself for. I forgive you, M. Simone, for believing that you were less than. I forgive you, M. Simone, for believing that, herpes is incurable. I forgive you for believing that, you should be scared of sex, right? That sex is something to be feared. I forgive you for that. And then the second part of the forgiveness step is to send love and gratitude. It's now that we have forgiven ourselves, now that we've pulled up all these seeds, this trauma that we've been holding on to, because what you're doing essentially is you're processing the trauma. Trauma is unprocessed emotion, unprocessed emotional responses to stimuli. That's what trauma is. So what you're doing is you're processing the emotions that are attached to that story so that you can release them, so that you can actually release the trauma, right? So once you actually release the story, you give the story, now you're going to create a better story. You're going to talk about how much you love yourself. This is the part where you're going to start to get into love and gratitude. Because believe it or not, I don't know what any of y'all want to do in your lives. I'm not sure what your aspirations are, right? But there are people in your life and people that you have not met yet that are waiting for your testimony. And whether you're going to tell it publicly, whether you're going to put in a book, whether your friend's just going to ask you, oh my God, Sarah, you're glowing. What have you done? And you just, hey, I've been healing my relationship with myself. I've been healing my relationship with my mind, with my body. You are going to have a ripple effect on the world. Regardless of how grand it is, there is a ripple effect from the work that you're doing. So I want you guys to understand that the life that you've lived so far, I know it's felt a certain way because I was in the same shoes. Now, for me, I've been in this work of being a manifestation leader for 5 years, pretty much since a couple months before, the diagnosis. So I've been working on this process of how I see myself for 5 years, right? I'm just now at the point where I'm sharing this information with you guys, and y'all want to heal your mind and body. So I'm going to go through that process with you, because it wasn't something that, like I said, it doesn't affect me on a day to day. So I really don't think about it. I knew I was going to heal myself at some point in life, but I wasn't like pressed to do it. Like, it wasn't like I have to get rid of this. And again, that's the attachment piece, right? We're going to get to a point where you guys detach from the outcome. We know what we want. We know what we can have. We know what we're going. But as long as you're attached to it has to happen, I'm not going to be complete, or I'm not going to be worthy, or I'm not going to live my life if I'm, experience herpes symptoms, that is going to keep it with you. That is going to keep it stuck to you, right? The attachment, you're attached to it. You're attached to not having it. And because you're in the energy, right? And because you're in the energy of not having what you want, you're only going to attract more of not having what you want, or of needing what you want. What you want is to be healed, but you need it. It has to happen. If it doesn't happen, you are not going to be satisfied. Your life is going to be over if you have to live with herpes the rest of your life. If that's the mindset, again, is that the consciousness you're coming from, you're attached to the outcome. You need it, and you don't attract what you need. You attract what you are. Right? That's me, LOL, for the past 2 years. I'm sure. Right? Like, because it's something that you are very highly dissatisfied with, right? As you should be. You're God in human form. You're literally the divine. You should not be experiencing dis-ease in your body or your mind. That's not actually how God programmed you when you first got here. The world programmed you to believe in sickness, and that's why we're here now, right? But for the forgiveness step, I want you guys to forgive yourselves, and then I want you guys to send yourself love, and I want you to send yourself gratitude. Thank you, M. Simone, right, for taking the time to even do this work, right? Thank you for, being with me even though I didn't treat you well. Thank you for X, Y, and Z. Thank you for, being, showing up for yourself even when you didn't want to. How do we know if we're processing our emotions or thinking unpleasant ways? I'm scared of attracting wrong things. Okay. So how do we know if we're processing our emotions or think in unpleasant ways? So that question, right, indicates, right, that you think in unpleasant ways. Because at the end, you said, I'm scared of attracting the wrong things. If you're scared of attracting the wrong things, right, if you're in the energy of, I don't want to attract this, or I'm in the energy of fear, all you can attract is more fear. You can't attract anything that you're not already, that you're not being, that you're not in a state of being. So I'm going to talk about this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. So I want you guys to understand that everything is energy, right? And I'll see how I can, give you more information about your question, but I want to talk about this first because I want to speak on the last part of the question, right? The last statement was, I'm scared of attracting wrong things. And I want you to be grateful that came up. Right? I want you to be happy that you are now aware of this. Okay? Now, I want you guys to understand the law of attraction is not a primary law. Okay? The law of attraction is actually derived. It comes from another law. Hold on one second, y'all. My son is supposed to be coming, so let me make sure they're on the way. My sweetness. Okay. Okay, great. Family first, period. No. Yeah, I honestly, I was supposed to text them before I got on the live, like right before, but I forgot. So, law of attraction. So the law of attraction, right, is a secondary law. It's not a primary law. It comes from a primary law. The primary law is the law of vibration, right? So primary laws are like the head honchos, right? So like the law of mathematics is the primary law. And then the law of multiplication comes from the law of mathematics, right? So the law of vibration states everything, all energy vibrates. Let's back up a little bit. Well, actually, let's segue right into this next part. So forgiveness, you're going to forgive yourself, right? You are going to, how do we know if we're processing emotions? You'll feel it. You'll either feel yourself You can feel yourself. If you're crying, that's a way to process your emotions. If you decide that you want to hit something, that's a way to process your emotions, right? Safely, of course, right? If you decide you want to scream, that's a way to process your emotions, right? But you'll know if you're processing your emotions if you're releasing emotions, right? If you feel like you're confined, if you feel like you're suppressing, right? You're probably not processing your emotions or releasing them. But let me say this first. Forgiveness, we're going to forgive ourselves. We're going to love ourselves. We're going to send ourselves gratitude. And then we're going to get into step 3, right? Step 3 of the process is to get in spirit, get inspired. I want you guys to understand that we don't live on the physical plane only, okay? The physical plane is the 3D plane, the one that you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. But you also live on 2 other planes simultaneously. We live on 3 planes of understanding. We have the physical plane, which is the lowest level. We have the mental plane, which is where the conscious and the subconscious is. And then we have the spiritual plane. So we have spiritual, mental, physical. I want you guys to understand that God created every single one of y'all with what I call the 3 pillars of permanent manifestation, permanent transformation. God created you with spirit, mind, and body. Everything you need to transform your life when it comes to your health, when it comes to your business, when it comes to love, money, relationships, beauty, fashion, business, freedom, time freedom, money freedom. Doesn't matter what it is. Everything that you want, right, to become or to have, right? You have the 3 pillars to make it happen right now: spirit, mind, and body. Okay. So spirit, you live on the spiritual plane. You are a spiritual being. Every single one of y'all is God in human form. Every single one of y'all is not a human being, but a spiritual being having a human experience. You are not your body. You are the spirit that lives in the body. You are the awareness of your body. You're not your thoughts. You're the awareness of your thoughts. You're not your feelings. You are what is aware of your feelings. You are the thinking of the thoughts. You're not thinking the thoughts, right? You are the awareness of the thoughts being thought, right? Now, I'm going to explain this a little bit more because sometimes when you first hear it, right, it's a bit jumbled. But I want you guys to stay with me, right? At your core, you are God in human form. Every single one of us is the divine. When God said, I created you in my image, in the image of the creator you were created, that's what God meant. God created us in God's image. God is not a larger version of humans. Okay? God is not a larger version of us. We are smaller versions of God. God is not a larger version of humans. We are a smaller version of God. You are what I call the little God, and God is the big God. You're God nonetheless. Okay? God is the creator of the entire universe. You are the creator of your entire universe. Okay? God is the sun. You are the sunbeam. The sun and the sunbeam can be distinguished. We can distinguish between the sun and the sunbeam, but there's no separation. We can't separate the sun from the sunbeam, right? We can distinguish the 2 very clearly. Okay, great. We can distinguish the 2 very clearly, but there's no actual separation. Now, the world has programmed us to believe in separation. Thank you, makes sense. Okay, perfect. Right? The world has programmed us to believe in separation, right? God is a man in the sky. God is a man in a book. God is a man, right? God is X. God is Y, right? The world has programmed us to believe a certain way about our divinity to the point where we don't know that we are and have the divinity. You cannot be separated from God. Now, God is health. And if God is health and I am God, I am one with God. Jesus said, I and my Father are one. If I'm one with God and God is health, I'm one with health. I am health. Right now, every single one of y'all is health right now. The only reason your physical reality or your physical body is showing you something different is because you have accepted a belief in sickness. Every single one of us on this call accepted a belief in dis-ease, herpes, We all accepted that belief. We didn't do it consciously. We did it subconsciously. We got emotionally involved in that. As soon as we found out, the emotional impact seeped right into the subconscious and we accepted it as fact. Turned off the health right there. And I don't even want to say turned off because it's not turned off. What we did was we took a bottle. We had this infinite flow of health, right? And we took a water bottle and we poked tiny little holes in it. So then it's like the health is dripping out in like little tiny increments. So you're a spiritual being. You are God in human form. You're literally the divine. The health you want, you are right now. The wealth you want, you are right now. The success, everything. You are it right now. You can never not be it. You can forget, but you cannot not be. You will always be God in human form. You will always be the awareness of your life. You will always be, no matter how forgetful you are about who you are, where you are, what you are, you cannot not be. You will always be. You are always God in human form. You are always the divine, always. There's never a time where you're not. You can't not, okay? So you're a spiritual being, but again, you live on the mental plane as well. Okay, so the spiritual plane, the mental plane, and then the physical plane. The mental plane is where the hiccup is. And that is why God told us clearly, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because your spirit doesn't need renewal. You just need to remember that you are spirit. Your spirit doesn't need renewal. You can't become more of God. You're already all there is right now. Literally, you can't become more of it. You're all of it. You're whole right now. You're complete right now. And that's why I said, if you can get to a point, right, it'll make your process easier, your transition easier. If you can get to a point where you know, like you are health and your life is good, no matter what the outside world tells you, that's the detachment, that's the knowing, and it will magnetize itself to you. Like fast. But you have to go into the mind and figure out what those ideas are, because the mind is holding your health hostage. This is the first time I've actually said this like in that way, but I like it, right? The mind is holding your health hostage. You have to let the idea of sickness go. You don't get health. You are health. You let go of the idea in sickness. You don't get health. You are health right now. Well, why don't I physically see it? Why am I physically seeing symptoms of herpes? Because you have accepted an idea in sickness. And because the power that you are is flowing through that negative idea, it's taking the shape of the negative idea. So I normally do this on live. I'm going to see if I can do it on here for you guys. So you guys see this water bottle, right? So this water bottle, I want the water in the water bottle to represent spirit, who you are at your core, unlimited. God is unlimited. God is formless. God is infinite. Okay? The water in this water bottle represents spirit. That represents God. That represents who you truly are, formless. This water has no form. If I pour it out, it would literally splatter all over the table. But the vessel that I put the water in, the water is going to take the shape of the vessel. The water is going to take the form of the vessel. The water is going to morph itself into the shape of the container. Now, this container is a lot bigger. Okay, same water, same spirit, same power, same health, but this has a larger bottle or a larger vessel to flow through. It's taking the shape or form of this vessel. So what I want you guys to take from that analogy and from the visual is the water is who you truly are. Health, abundance, love, joy, wealth. The vessel or the bottle is your consciousness. And the water is going to take the shape of your consciousness. If your consciousness is, I'm not good enough for love because I experienced HSV symptoms, that's what your reality is going to show you. That's the form that spirit is going to take. That's the form that God is going to take in your life. That is the form that your health is going to take in your life. If you accept the idea that you are health, remember that, and that you can heal anything in your life, truly, and you let the health, the flow, the spirit flow through that, then that's what you'll experience. You'll experience a reality where you are health. You only see health because you no longer have the idea of dis-ease in your consciousness. And again, your consciousness is your awareness, what you can see physically. So if you don't have it up here, it's not going to be in the physical. The only reason that it's in the physical is because it's in the mind. Right? So the get in spirit step, this third step, is for you to remember who you are. You are not a human being. You are not a status. You are not a diagnosis. You are God in human form, momentarily experiencing symptoms of dis-ease. You are not a dis-ease. You are not a status. You are God in human form. And you have accepted the identity of someone who has herpes. And that's why the reality is showing you a reflection of someone who experiences herpes symptoms. So the get in spirit piece is for you to remember who you are. Every single one of y'all is divine. There's literally, you can't get any closer to God. There's nothing you can do to get closer to God. Literally nothing. You are God right now. Right? You can use the word energy if that makes you feel better. Everything is energy. And that's all there is to it. Your job is to match the frequency of the life that you want to live. And it can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. This is an Albert Einstein quote. Everything is energy. Everything is God. And that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but to get that reality. So back to the energy, right? So everything is energy. Now, even the word energy, if you spell it out, I'm going to put it in the chat real quick. So this will also help you, right, when it comes to God and energy, because I use God and energy interchangeably, right? Because science uses the word energy, religion and spirituality use the word God. They're saying the same thing. Everything is awareness. That's really what everything boils down to. So you have energy equals God, right? But then you have energy, hold on, equals energy. Okay? So how I have that written in the chat, same thing, same exact thing. Energy, your inner God, inner goddess, same thing. Okay? When I tell you that the wordings, the words we use, guys, they're spelled a certain way to keep us in a state of not knowing. But if you spell it like that, the same thing, energy, exactly what you just said, right? Okay, so everything is energy. The law of vibration states that all energy vibrates. All energy vibrates. All energy vibrates at different frequencies. Every single one of us is a walking mass of energy vibrating at a certain frequency. Water, ice, and steam are the same exact energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed and transmuted. Okay? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed and transmuted. Ice, water, and steam are the same energy vibrating at different frequencies. We call water water because of its rate of vibration. We call ice ice because of the rate of vibration. We call steam steam because of the rate of vibration. We call money money because of the rate of vibration. We call you a human being because of your rate of vibration. It's how fast the energy is vibrating. The law of vibration states all energy vibrates. Nothing rests. We literally live in an ocean of motion. The law of attraction then states that you are going to attract things in harmony with the energy that you vibrate in, not what you want. Has nothing to do with what you want. A lot of you guys want to heal yourself. You want to not have herpes. It's not about what you want. It's about what you believe to be true. It's about the energy that you're in. If you want to heal yourself, you don't believe your health right now. And if you don't believe you're healthy right now, or you don't have the health right now, you're not going to attract health if you're in the energy of not health. Does that make sense? So the question was, how do we know if we're processing our emotions or think in unpleasant ways? I'm scared of attracting the wrong things. So the statement was, I'm scared of attracting the wrong things. And I'm grateful that you put that in the chat, right? When you guys put the things in the chat, when you actually put your answers in there, your questions, you're getting the feedback, the real-time mentorship that you need to get you to where you want to go. So now that your awareness is expanded, you can start to look at life differently, right? I'm scared of attracting the wrong things. You're in the energy of fear. That's the energy you're in. I'm scared of attracting the wrong things. If you're in the energy of fear, you're only going to attract more things for you to be fearful of. Okay? You're manifesting all the time. You're attracting all the time. Your power for manifestation is never off. That health that I was talking about, it doesn't turn off. The wealth, the love, the joy, the serenity, the confidence, it doesn't turn off. You can't turn it off. It's always on. It's been on your whole life. Your whole life you have been manifesting, literally. And you didn't even know it. That's how powerful you are. You literally created your entire life, and you didn't even know you were doing it. I mean, like, y'all are the most powerful manifestors on the planet. Like, there's nobody more powerful than you. All you want to learn how to do, which is what we're going to talk about in the next 2 steps, is you want to learn how to consciously direct the energy for a period of time until it becomes your automatic pattern. Because as long as the pattern you have currently is playing in the background, the reality is going to stay the same. Right? That's scared of being scared of giving it to somebody, scared of attracting the wrong thing, scared of having it for the rest of your life. Whatever it is, that scared feeling is going to keep you where you are. So the law of attraction doesn't say anything about what you want. It's all about the energy that you are in, who you are being, what you believe to be true about you. That's why we first start with, what do you believe to be true about you? What are your feelings around these things? What are your thoughts around these things? Because that's the energy you're in currently, and that's why you're attracting the things you're attracting. Okay? So how do we know if we're processing our emotions or we think in unpleasant ways? If you believe that you think in unpleasant ways, it's probably because you do. But also, it's your perception of it, right? We all have a perception of reality. We all have a perception of ourselves. I'm going to tell you guys this. I was thinking about this last night. So I projected a whole story about myself. Crazy that I'm hearing this because I just said in a conversation, my biggest fear came true after the diagnosis. So pause, and hopefully I'll remember to come back to this. When I was with my son's father, right? My son's father used to tell me all the time how he was scared of losing me. Scared of losing me. He always said that shit. Like, I'm just scared of losing you. And I just kept telling him, you're not going to lose me. You're not going to lose me. He lost me. Definitely did. Absolutely came true. 100%. He believed it. Inherently. Told me from the beginning of our relationship, I am scared to lose you. And then lost me. Now, back to this story. So I created this whole narrative around myself and herpes and speaking out about it on social media and relationships that I would have. I made a whole story up in my own head and then projected it onto somebody else. And they called me out on my bullshit. I was like, just because that's how you feel and that's how you look at it, doesn't mean it's a fact. Now, granted, my feelings are still valid, but I literally made up a whole story in my head and made it so they were saying it to me. It's literally crazy. Your mind is so powerful. And this literally happened like 2 days ago. Like this is really fresh. And that's what I mean. Your awareness is always going to expand. It's going to keep expanding. So when I say get in spirit, your job is to get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, of the desire fulfilled. You want to get into the God feeling. What does God feel like? If you could feel God, I kept saying with the guy I was previous with that he was too good to be true. Mm-hmm. Yep. And if you believe that to be true, the world will show you exactly what you believe to be true. So when you, and this is the thing too, when your life starts to change, when you go through this process, when you do this work, when your life starts to change, if you still have that belief that it's too good to be true, that's what's going to come back to you. If you believe that this is okay, well, I've healed myself, this is too good to be true. There's no way I actually did this. All righty. Okay. Right? So we want to for sure let go of that, right? That's something that I would also talk about, right? I would ask myself that question. Do I feel like healing is too good to be true? Like, do I feel like this is truly something that can happen? Ask yourself that question, right? So you can identify what's going on there. The other piece that I want you guys to think about in the get in spirit piece is I want you to get into the feeling of God, feeling of your divinity. What does it feel like if you were God in human form? How would that feel? How does God feel? What's the energy of God? Abundance, prosperity, love, joy, health, peace, bliss, ease, confidence, freedom, companionship, gratitude, faith, joy, love, right? Your job in the third step is to get into that feeling, get into the feeling of health. What does health feel like? It feels calm. It feels free. It feels faithful. It feels joyful. It feels like love. It feels like gratitude, right? Because now the fourth step in this process, this is where we're going to create the new life. Now, I know what I believe your new life looks like, but you got to get specific. So I want you guys to create a list of the things that you want, specifically around health, relationships, yourself, right? What are the things that you want? What do you want to be, do, and have? Now, typically when I have you guys go through this process, I have you create what I call a 50 plus list. So it's a list of 50 things that you want to be, do, and have in this lifetime. Now, what we're talking about specifically is we're talking about related to HSV, and we're talking about in the next, let's say, week, 2 weeks. Honestly, let's say like next 90 days, right? So the next 90 days, what is your desired reality, right? Around sex, around yourself, around partners, around relationships, around health. Like, what do you want to be, do, and have, right? You want to be an advocate. You want to be someone who creates the herbs or the products or the alkaline diet or whatever diet to help people with this. Like, what is it that you want to create? Or, right, I just want a healthy life. What does a healthy life look like, right? Get specific. Like maybe you want to improve other areas of your health, not just healing from HSV, but maybe you want to start working out. Maybe you want to enjoy working out. That's an idea you can have, right? That you enjoy working out. You enjoy eating healthy foods. You want to change your diet. Like, what do you want? What type of partner do you want? What type of relationship do you want? Right? You want a partner, you want a relationship with someone who is loving, who's trustworthy, who's unconditionally loving, who's non-judgmental, right? Or who is accepting, who is caring, who is, generous, who is kind, who is X, Y, and Z, purposeful, whatever it is. What do you want? What is your desired reality? Get specific. What do you want? What type of life do you want to live? Like you're no longer, right, dealing with HSV. What does the life look like? What the dream reality, the heaven on earth? Like this course specifically, this class is specific to HSV. So what do you want specifically? What do you want? What type of life are you living after you have healed yourself? What is the desired reality? What type of relationships do you have? What type of, like I said, health related? You can do business with, you can do whatever you want. You can narrow it to health, sex, relationships, and yourself, but you can expand this to all other areas of your life. This masterclass that I'm going through with you guys, you can use this for any area. It's not just for HSV. That's just the focus. You can use the life recipe for any other part of your life. That's why I called it the life recipe, because it's not specific for one area. It's for all areas. It's to help you start living in spirit in the God consciousness for eternity. Okay, so you're going to create the desired reality. What is it that you want specifically? What type of life do you want to live? Now that you are no longer dealing with herpes, now that you have been healed, now that you have been renewed, what does the life look like? And then who do you need to be to actually live that life? Like what beliefs, I want you guys to pick 3 beliefs that you need to have about yourself to actually get you there. Because again, the reality, the desired reality is the destination. So we're at the GPS again. This is the destination. We know where we want to go. Great. Perfect. Who do we need to be to get there? Who do we need to be? What is the current location? What does the current location need to be? What type of beliefs do I need to hold to get me actually to this destination? Right? So that you are health and you can heal yourself. I am health and I can heal myself. I have the healing power. I am the healing power. Right? I am defined. I am worthy unconditionally. I'm unconditionally loved, worthy, and deserving of the life of my dreams. That's a belief. Right? What else? I am confident. That's very simple belief. I'm confident in my abilities to heal myself. Right? I'm grateful for the healing process. That is me. Whatever it is, it's your belief. Now, what you can do is you can go back to the first lesson You can look at the beliefs that you held, and then see what the opposite of that would be. Because everything has an opposite: up, down, hot, cold, in, out, left, right, good, bad. If you can look at a belief and you can see why it's negative, you should be able to switch that belief and make it a positive, right? So the belief is that herpes is incurable. The opposite of that is I can cure myself. I can heal myself of any dis-ease. I am healed. I am health. I am the healing power, whatever it is. And you want to be affirmative. You want to be positive. You don't want to say, I'm getting rid of herpes. No, because you're still focused on the herpes. You're still focused on getting rid of it. No, you want to say, I am healed, or I am health. I am the healing power. I have the power to heal myself, whatever it is, right? You want to be affirmative and you want to be positive. But you're going to pick three beliefs that are going to get you to the dream life in the next 90 days. Okay? 3 beliefs about you. Because we have when you create the desired reality, that's what we call a goal image. That's the image of your goal. That's what you want. It's in words, the image of your goal. But now you have to create the self-image, the self-concept, right? So would you recommend stopping the physical healing journey we've been on, like supplements? If you're on a healing, like if you're using a certain supplement right now, you can continue to use it. That's totally fine. Right? While you're in the process of renewing your mind, we're going to get to step 6, which is where you're going to take different action. And that's the physical part, where we'll go into the actual remedies and things like that. But if you're using something right now, you can continue to use it, or you can stop and then, try the products or try the method that we'll talk about. It's really up to you. But like right now, I'm not taking anything, right? And like I said, I haven't had an outbreak in years, but I don't take anything for it daily. So for me, I would just continue doing the consciousness work. And then when we get to step 6, then I would start with the diet. I would start with the herbs. I would start with the tinctures or whatever the things are. But if you're using something right now, right, you can continue to use it, because your body will let you know when to stop. God will let you know, like, you don't need this anymore, right? Or this is actually working for you. So what type of life you want to live, the goal image, and then the self-image. Who do I need to be? Who do I need to be to actually live this life? What ideas do I need to hold about myself? What do I need to believe about me to get to this dream life? Because what I believe about me currently has gotten me to the life I'm at right now, right? With HSV symptoms, experiencing them. So who do I need to be to get to the reality where I am healed? I am health. And then the 5th step in this process, the life recipe, is matching the energetic frequency of the desired reality. So what we just did was we created the desired reality. The desired reality is health. The desired reality is a partner that loves you unconditionally. And the desired reality is you're an advocate for herpes. Like you start a company or something. I don't know. So you start a company, right? You're helping people with their bodies, with their minds, right? Because you're gonna use a process that's gonna heal people. You're gonna go mind then body, right? So you're bringing in clients. You have the love of your life, and you have healed yourself. What does that feel like? Now that you're actually living that life, you're living a reality where you are healed, you are health. Your partner is loving unconditionally, and all the other things. We're just going to keep it high level, right? And you are bringing in actual dollars. You're being paid for your existence. Because had you not gone through this process, had you not created that business, you wouldn't be getting paid in that way. So you're literally getting paid to exist. You're literally getting paid for what you went through. What does that feel like? Right? There's a feeling attached to it. There's an emotion attached to it. Emotions are your energy in motion. Okay? Energy in motion. I want to say this real quick before it escapes me. I want you guys to understand that if you are ever having an outbreak, if you're ever having anything come up, like you can physically see and experience it, it's trying to come out. If it's coming up, it wants to come out. The issue is when things start to come up, we go to the doctor, and the doctor then gives us something to suppress, again, the symptom. We don't heal it. We don't get to the cause. We don't remove the cause, so we remove the effect. We just treat the effect. We suppress the symptoms. If you're having an experience of herpes symptoms, it's because it's trying to come out of your body. It's trying to tell you something. Hey, something's off. Hey, let's not suppress this anymore, right? So step 5, when I say, what does it feel like? What is the energy in motion of the dream life? What does it feel like? What's the emotion? Right? Again, all energy vibrates at different frequencies. So when I say match the energetic frequency, you're matching the emotion, the energy in motion, the rate of vibration of that energy of the dream life. The dream life feels a certain way. The new you feels a certain way. Or elevated you, excuse me. Confident, maybe. Faithful, trusting, understanding. That feels a certain way. It feels joyful. It feels loving. It feels grateful. It feels compassionate. It feels faithful. Your job is to match that emotion today, to get into the feeling of the dream life today. Because you don't want the dream life. You want the feeling that the dream life is going to give you. You want the feeling of it. You want the energy of it. You want it to be your energy in motion. So you have to appropriate the energy in motion, the emotion today, even though your reality is telling you the exact opposite. Because the reality, again, is an effect. And what we've done now is we've gotten to the cause. We've now planted a new seed, but the tree hasn't flourished yet. The seed hasn't been broken apart. It hasn't been rooted. It hasn't been grounded. That's what the 5th step is for. The 4th step is the mind actually choosing the seed, the desired reality in the version of us. And then step 5 is actually planting it in the garden, which is the subconscious, right? Watering it, nourishing it, giving it sunlight. What that actually means with the mind is emotion. Emotion. That's how you get it into the subconscious. Getting emotionally involved, matching the energetic frequency. How does it feel? What are the emotions tied to it? If you can get into the energy of it, right? Now you've done 99% of the work. 99% of the work has already been done. You have put new ideas in your consciousness, and your consciousness is all that you're aware of physically. So now you're going to start to become aware of the things that you actually want. Because now you have removed the idea of what you don't want, sickness, and you have replaced it with ideas of health. You are health, but now you have specific ideas. Okay? So what's happening is your awareness is going to start shifting because the ideas that you have are shifting. And the reality has to catch up to it. However, the reality has what we call a time factor. We call it a period of gestation. There is a period between, great question. I'm going to answer this. Is it instant when we put our awareness to it, or do we have to keep repeating affirmations? Jeez, I cannot speak today. So Sarah, I'm going to answer your question with what I'm about to say, and then I'll answer it directly. But this is going to answer the question you have. There's a time, absolutely. There's a period of gestation between the time that the seed is planted and the fruit is harvested. Okay? There's a gestation period. You can clearly see this gestation period when it comes to babies. Babies have a 9-month, 40-week gestation period. We know exactly, give or take, how long it takes for the idea of a baby, because all of you started out as ideas. Your mama and daddy had the idea of a baby at some point in some way. They did some physical things. The literal sperm of your father, the male, and the egg of your mama came together, and it was literally planted in your mom's womb. And for 9 months, automatically, might I add, you were being created automatically. Like no effort on your mom's part. Now she had to eat, of course, right? But she's not waking up like, oh, we're doing eyes today. Okay, now I got to do the legs. Okay, now I got to do the mouth. Okay, now I got to do the heart. No, it's automatic. It's an automatic process. I'm just saying. It's an automatic process. When I was creating my son, I wasn't thinking about how I was creating him. Oh, let me do the foot. That's not my part. That's your part. That's the big God's part. That's the subconscious mind's part. That's not my part. No, thank you. I did my part. I procreated. I put I did the action. Y'all take care of the rest. So when it comes to babies, we can clearly tell it takes 9 months, 40 weeks. That is the period of gestation. With crops, farmers can typically tell as well how long it's going to take. With ideas, though, there is no certain time frame, timeline, chart that'll tell you, okay, this idea takes this long, this idea takes it, because it's dependent on you. Now, Sarah's question is, how long would it take to get into our consciousness? I want you guys to understand that what you're doing now is so consciousness, I want you to understand, is split into two. You have the conscious and the unconscious. The conscious is what you're aware of. The unconscious or the subconscious is what you're unaware of. Sub means under awareness. Underaware, unaware. Okay? So what you want to do now when I say match the energetic frequency is you're getting it from conscious, which is only 2% of your success. That's why I said babies are not created consciously. You don't grow your hair consciously. Your heart doesn't beat consciously. You don't get into your car and drive it consciously. It's an automatic pattern, automatic process. It's done subconscious or under consciousness. When your job is to get the idea into the subconscious. Now, how long does it take to do that? Is it instant when we put our awareness to it, or do we have to keep repeating affirmations? I'm going to give you an example. And this is an example that a lot of women will relate to, maybe men too. Well, actually, men too, because it works the same way. In May of 2023, I went to my grandma's house for Memorial Day, had some fun, came back home to Houston, Texas. My boyfriend at the time was like, hey, how was your trip? It was great. Did your period come? I was like, no. Yeah, it's kind of late. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Maybe you should take a test. I guess for shits and gigs. Let's just do it. Took the test. Pregnant. Instantly. My subconscious mind was changed. My program was changed. My identity was changed. Instantly, my GPS was changed. Instantaneously. I didn't have to affirm that I was a mother. I didn't have to recite affirmations for 30 days. No, it was instant. The emotional impact of finding out that I was carrying life was instant. That's why trauma changes you so quickly. Now, you can have good trauma and you can have bad trauma. Because trauma is just an undeveloped, unprocessed emotional experience. But the emotional impact of finding out that I was pregnant changed me instantly. My consciousness was changed forever. The identity shifted. I was a mother. I didn't have to affirm it at all. So to answer your question, Sarah, how long does it take for you to accept the idea subconsciously, right? Depends on how long it takes you to get emotionally involved in the idea that it's already done and move as if it's already done. So for example, with you guys, what we're going to do is we're going through the process of creating the new life. So when you accept the feeling of the new life, the feeling of the new life is health. What does health feel like? Let's say health feels like ease. Health feels like calm. Health feels like confidence. Health feels like love. When you put yourself in the energy of the emotion of love, faith, health, joy, you are creating the frequency of the new life. That's the energy you're in, so that's what you're attracting. So the issue that you're going to run into, though, is that you have trouble, or you may have trouble staying in the energy, because it's very easy for you to stay in the energy you're in today because your outside world matches the energy you're in. It's a direct mirror. When you go into a new energy, when you're going into the elevated energy, the outside world is not reflecting to you what you believe to be true. It's actually reflecting the exact opposite to you, literally. Like, because your reality hasn't changed yet. Like I said, there's a period of gestation. Reality hasn't shifted yet. You will know that reality has shifted once you have shifted internally. When you no longer need the outside world to show you something for you to feel some type of way, for you to know that it's done, for you to feel as if it's done. Now, there's some ways that you can stay in control of you. There's some powers that you have. We're not going to talk about them on this live or on this masterclass because it's a little bit high level. But you have what I call your creative God powers that allow you to stay in control of you no matter what's going on outside. because the internal is a or the external is a reflection of the internal. When the internal gets right, the external has to follow. But again, there's a period of gestation. You have accepted the seed emotionally, subconsciously, and now there's a time that must elapse until it physically manifests. But again, you don't want the physical manifestation. You want the feeling of the physical manifestation. So now that you have the feeling of health, it doesn't matter if it takes you 90 days, 20 days, 6 days, 2 months, 4 years to get rid of it, right? Or to get to the life that you want to live. You already have the feeling of it. Now, all manifestation is instant. Yes. The physical appearance of it, there's a time period that must elapse. But all manifestation is instant. As soon as you accept the idea, there's a bridge of incidence that's created between where you are and the actual physical manifestation. It's already done. It's literally already done. It's done right now. Everything that you guys want already exists right now, eternally, in an eternal now. There's no past, there's no future. You can go into your mind right now and you can actually remember the day that you received the diagnosis. Is it happening in the past? No, it's happening right now in your mind. You can also go to 90 days from now where you have been transformed by the renewing of your body, your mind and body. And it's happening right now as well. It's not happening in the future. It's happening right now in your mind. So everything is instant on the spiritual and mental realms, which are the real realms, literally that, the real realms, but the physical, it has it's back. It's got a little lag. There's a lag in the physical. That's why we don't wait for the physical to change to show us that we believe what we believe to be true. We believe it and then the physical shifts. Absolutely. We are shifting consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. Awareness is the mind, the conscious, and the subconscious. We are working with them. God was very clear. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Y'all are trying to renew the body first. That's why you're not getting the success you want. And you're trying to renew the body without taking the cause of what's happening in the body out. Backwards again. Okay? So step 5 is to mask the energetic frequency of the dream life. What does it feel like? What does the dream life feel like? Get into that feeling today. And then step 6, now we're in the physical body. So what we've done in the life recipe is we first went into the mind with step 1 and step 2. Self-awareness and forgiveness. Then we went up into spirit. We got in spirit. That's why I told you to do that. Get in spirit. We're going to get into our power. Then we went back into the mind, created the desired reality, the version of us, and matched the actual frequency of it. And now we're going into the body. Spirit, mind, body. Okay? So now that we're in the body, we've got 99% of our success together. We got the right ideas. So that means we can only see physically what's in consciousness, the new ideas that we've put in there. So we're good. Perfect. We know it's going to catch up. We're not waiting for the outside to shift. We're going to start to act like we already are this person. We're going to act like it's already done. Right? So in this way, someone who believes that they are healthy, right? They are going to eat certain things, right? There's a certain diet, right? And I believe the diet that we're going to focus on, and I'll do some research to see if there is another diet that's recommended. But I've always heard about the alkaline diet, right? So that would be the diet that I would be recommending for us, right? And there's also different herbs or different you would call them vitamins or herbs that you would take to literally rid your body of it. But you're going to start to take inspired and aligned actions. If you want to create a business where you help people who also have been in a position where they experience herpes symptoms, we're going to start acting like it. We're going to start to move in that direction. We're going to start to take action towards that reality. If your desired reality is a certain type of person, okay, we're going to start going on dates. And we're going to remove the people that clearly are not who we're looking for, and we're going to keep going. We're going to start to act in a certain way. We're going to start to act in alignment with the life we want to live. So this is where the body is doing its transformation. We transformed the mind. Now we're going to transform the body, right? So like I said, there's a certain diet because we have to set up an environment physically for the body to release the disease, the virus, the parasite. We have to give our body what it needs now because we can't just ignore the body. And I think that sometimes people get confused with how I speak about this on social media. Like they feel like I'm just diminishing like the body. No, no, no. We absolutely have to set up an environment for the body to release it 100%. But we can't start there. That's not the starting point. Not for permanent transformation. Now, if you want to, willy-nilly, maybe you do, maybe you don't, then yeah, start at the body. But the body is an effect. The physical is an effect. It's not the cause. So if you want permanent change, we go to the cause. So take inspired and aligned actions, right? The version of you that's living the dream life, how do they act? When they are sexually active, what are they thinking about? Are they thinking about the fact that, oh no, I've been doing the work, but I haven't taken the test yet, so I don't know if I don't want to, no. They're in the sexual act in confidence that they are health. They have conversations with people in confidence. They don't come and say, oh, I have herpes. I've had it for this long, I understand if you don't want to be with me. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why are we even saying that? No, I experience herpes symptoms. I've experienced them in the past. When I first told the first 3 people that I told, and I only had sex with the last one, which was my son's father. When I told them I had herpes. Like, I have it. Like, it's mine. Like, we go together. I don't say that anymore. I experienced herpes symptoms in the past. Even if I experienced the symptoms today, I'd say I experienced the symptoms. It's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. Right? So taking the actions in the consciousness that you are health, right? You're just rewording it. How do we detach from desires after manifesting? Great question. So how do we detach from desires after manifesting? What do you mean? Like you want more after you manifest? After you create what you want? How do we detach from desires? Or you're saying, how do we detach from the desire, like while you're trying to get it? Gotcha. So what you're gonna want to do with the detachment piece, right? Because detachment is key, right? When you get into in step 5, when you get into the energetic frequency of the new life, right? When you acquire the feeling that you would have when you're living the dream life, that's how you know it's already done. You can also go into your imagination and you can see it being done right now. It's what we call visualizing. The imagination is one of your most powerful life tools. Literally everything you see physically started in the imagination. So when you get into the energy, right? You get into the feeling and you're in the emotion of it, or you're in the, you can see it in your mind. You're in the visualization. You're in the imagination. You know it's done. And when you know something is done, you do not attach how and when to when it physically shows up for you, because you already have what you actually want, which is the feeling of health, which is the feeling that you're already living the dream life. So when you know something is done, you don't care about how or when it comes to you, because you are already in the energy of having it. You're already in the energy of, I got it. I'm health right now. And you know that how and when is not your part anyway. Baby, you're not going to be able to figure out the how and the when. That's not your part. That's God's part. There's no way I could have figured out how to create an actual baby. There's no way I imagine my job interview would go well, and it did. Literally that. But the thing that we do, and this is awareness I had last night as well. It's like one negative thought comes up, and then it's like a train of imaginative stories and a whole just bunch of BS that comes with it. Like a whole just train of thought downhill. Whoa, 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 whoa. Pause. How do we even get over here? Right? Same thing with positive thoughts. One positive thought will send you on a train of positive thoughts. So when you are getting into the frequency, you're starting to take the actions, you already know it's done. And when you know something is done, you don't look outside of yourself for evidence. You know that the how and the when is God's part. There's no way that I could tell you how I was going to build the business that I'm running right now 5 years ago. I had never ran a business. Definitely not for 5 years. So there's no way I could have told you how that was going to happen. I have no idea. I can tell you now exactly how it happened because it's already done. But when you are doing something you've never done before, you're not going to know how or when it's going to happen until after it happens. So when I say detach, you want to understand that you already have what it is you want. You already know that it's done. Therefore, you don't need to see it outside of you. You're not attached to how and when it comes to you because you already have the thing. You already have the feeling. You're already in the emotional vibration of the emotional frequency of having what you want. Right? So the sixth step is for you to take inspired action and aligned action. You're welcome. Right? And then you also, last step, the seventh step in the process, is for you to be open to receive and in joyful expectation. This is very important. You can do all the things that I just told you. But if you're not open to receive the new life, the new partner, the new love, the new sex, the new business, if you're not open to receive it, if opportunities come to you and you shut out the opportunity, somebody asks you out on a date and you shut them out and you for no reason at all, right? If you are closing yourself off, you're not going to be able to receive the new life. I want you guys to start being open to receive. Like when you go to the grocery store, this is one of my favorite examples because it's very simple. And I don't know if they do this at all grocery stores, but you go to the grocery store, you check out, and then they say, "Hey, would you like help with your bags to the car?" You're like, "Oh no, no, thank you. I couldn't accept." Why not? Somebody's offering to give you something. I know you don't need the help. Duh, we know that. But let people extend their gratitude through that. Let people show you that God exists through them. Of course, you don't need it. I don't need it. But yeah, great. I would love it. Even with your business, you don't need the business, but it would be wonderful. It would be amazing. That would be awesome. You want to be open to receive the new life. You want to be open to receive health. Somebody might come up to you and be like, "Hey, I saw that you were on this journey. I read this book. This may be helpful for you." That might be the book that it unlocks something for you to start a business to then do whatever you need to do. But you're not open to, "Oh, well, I can't, no, no, thank you." Or you just don't want to read it for whatever reason. Or you don't like the person that's giving it to you. Right? You want to be open to receive and in joyful expectation. When I say joyful expectation, every single day I wake up knowing in the gratitude, in the thankfulness, the gratefulness that everything that I want is coming to me and is literally here right now. I have an expectation that every single day I'm going to make money on social media. I have an expectation every single day that people are going to join my courses, that people are going to join my communities. I have an expectation every single day that I'm going to find something to be grateful for. Like this is going to be the best day ever. I have an expectation every day, and I'm not attached to how it looks or if it doesn't look how I wanted it to because I already have the feeling of it. So it doesn't matter what the reality shows me. I have the part that I'm going for anyway. But the more that I'm detached from when and how, the faster it comes to me. The more you expect without attachment, the more it comes to you. I want you guys to expect that things are working out for you, that you can heal yourself, that you are healing yourself. They say expect the best, but prepare for the worst. No, sir. We're preparing for the best. I'm not preparing for the worst. I'm not going to prepare to not have what I want. Absolutely. Why would I prepare for what I don't want? Because it's ask, believe, and then prepare to receive. That's actually the part that they don't put in there. Ask, believe, and then prepare to receive. I'm not preparing for the worst. No, I'm expecting the best and I'm preparing for the best. I'm making space for the best. I'm setting the intention for the best, not the worst, right? That doesn't make sense. So I want you guys to understand, right? This 7-step process that we have gone through, hold on one second. This 7-step process that we have gone through, right? If you follow the steps that I give you, right? You can and will be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If you follow the steps that I give you, you will be renewed and transformed. You will be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? But this is the thing that I do know. I do know that doing this by yourself is lonely. I know that it is easy for you to kind of slip into who you've been or what the outside world is telling you. Maybe you're having an outbreak in that moment and you're like, I've been doing the work and now this is coming up because you forgot if it's coming up to come out, right? And that accountability piece of you actually doing what you say you were going to do. That part you can't get out of the 2 hours that we just went through together. Like, you can have all the steps, but a community of people who also know exactly what you're going through, they're using the same process that you're using. They can remind you of what you know to be true when you are doubting yourself, right? Having that accountability when you're going through the process of changing your diet. It doesn't have to be permanent change, but having people there to keep you on course is essential. I did this all on my own, right? And now that I'm at a process where I'm ready to, because I'm helping you guys, I'm ready to heal myself, right? I also want to make sure that I have people with me who are going through this process, right? Because regardless of how much I know, regardless of how much of an expert I am in manifestation success in life, I can still learn from each and every one of you. I learn every single day. My awareness expands every single day. My awareness expanded on this call teaching you guys. So I want you guys to have a system, have the process, and have the community to actually make this work for you, right? I don't want you guys to just take what I gave you today and then not implement it. You guys know, if you've been on any of my lives, knowledge is not power. I can give you guys the knowledge. This is going to be recorded. This is recorded. So it's going to be on YouTube. You can watch it over and over and over again. You'll have the knowledge, but the implementation of it, the embodiment of it, the application of it is the key. You can know everything that I'm telling you. You know that people have healed themselves from herpes. You know that people have healed themselves from diseases. But that's not going to get it in. Knowing alone is not going to get you to the reality. You have to implement it, right? So I created, just for you guys, literally, I just created this process, not the life recipe, but this course, right? I created it for the people who are truly ready to actually be renewed, like be transformed by the renewing of their mind. Like, I want to make sure that I have everything that you guys need and the community and the process for you to get where you want to go, right? Now, you guys I'm going to be on for maybe about 5 minutes, right? I want you guys to hear what I'm saying. Now, this may not be for everybody, right? This is truly for the people who are ready to really get to the version of themselves where they're living freely. They don't have it hanging over their heads, right? They go out on dates and it's not like a weight on their back. Like, oh, I got to talk to them about this, right? The people who are ready to truly release the dis-ease from their body by releasing it first from the mind, right? And this process that I'm taking you guys through can be applied to any part of your life. It's not just this part, right? So I created a course. I created a program specifically for anyone who has experienced HSV symptoms. This is specifically for us. This is going to be only us, right? The people that decide to join this course, this program, right, are going to be in the same process that you're going through, okay? Now, I'm going to drop the link right here, but we're going to go over it together, okay? I'm going to pull it up. Hold on. No, let me drop it here. And then let me share my screen. And then let me know if you guys can see my screen. Uh-oh. Okay, let me see. Can you guys see my screen? Let me see. See what the chat's saying. I can see it. Okay, perfect. Okay. So what I want you guys to understand is everything that, like I said, we've talked about over the last 2 hours, right? You want to now implement it. Okay. You guys are at a point where you are ready to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You did not sign up for this masterclass just for fun. You signed up for this masterclass because you want help, because you want guidance, because you want assistance. You want a community of people who are not judgmental, who are going through the same process you're going through, right? For you guys to create friends, relationships, partners, maybe, right? So I created this course for you guys. Heal Thyself. So this is a 14-week course that we're going to go through together. Okay. Everybody, whoever registers for the event, we're going to start on Monday, July 28th. Okay. So not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that. We are going to go through a 14-week process together. So the life recipe that I just took you guys through, we're going to go more in depth, right? For 14 weeks, we're going to meet. What you're going to learn over these next 14 weeks is how to actually embody everything that you just learned over the last 2 hours, right? You are not your diagnosis. It does not define you. I have given you guys everything you need over the last 2 hours, right? To remind you that you are not broken. It's not something you have, it's something you experience, right? So this 14-week course, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 7 steps of the life recipe together. Okay? Every week or every other week, we're going to go through one of the steps. And then the week after that, right, the alternating weeks, we're going to have live Q&A sessions. Okay? So every 14 weeks, the first week, we're going to go over lesson 1, and then we're going to have a Q&A session. Lesson 2, and then a Q&A session, right? So that you guys have more support throughout this process. I want you to have everything that you need to actually heal yourself. And like I said, we're going through this experience together, right? There's also going to be a workbook. Now, this live that you guys were on, this masterclass, you were able to retain the information that I gave you. But if you have a physical, right, piece of paper, a physical workbook that allows you to actually see everything written down, all aligned, it'll keep everything in order for you. Okay? The most important part of this process, though, is the actual healing. I want you guys to understand that the body is an instrument of the mind. What we have to do is be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Every single one of y'all wants to get to a reality where herpes has no bounds, has no place in your life. And you know you have to go to the mind first. We have to ask these questions. So you're going to learn how to actually become, how to embody, how to apply Romans 12:2, which is be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Okay? But you have the community. I didn't have a community. The last 5 years of my life, it's been just me. Right? And I got to a point where, like I said, I was good with it. I was good without it. So I wasn't even focused on the healing aspect. But now that I have spoken up about it publicly and you guys are flooding me, I want to make sure that you have the community that you need to actually be transformed, to actually create what it is that you want, and to know that you're not alone. It's very easy to feel lonely in this journey. It's very easy to feel like nobody else is going through it. It's just me. I don't want you guys to feel like that, right? But the other piece of this is you guys always have access to this. So you can use it for any other part of your life. You can use it for any other health condition. You can use it for money, love, joy, peace, ease, bliss, business, career. This is not just for your health. That's where we're starting from. That's the target. That's what we're focusing on. But you'll always have access to this course. So you can use it for any other area of your life, right? I want you guys to understand you have what you need to transform your life, spirit, mind, and body. You just want to learn how to align spirit, mind, and body for the life that you want to live. And it's possible for every single one of y'all. Every single one of y'all has the same amount of God running through and through you. Every single one of y'all has the same mind that can be programmed. And every single one of y'all has a body that can experience health. You just want to understand how to actually do that, how to actually implement it, right? So that's what the Heal Thyself course is going to teach you how to do. Now, this course, right, we're going to be together for 14 weeks. Why I have it for 14 weeks is because I want to get to the root of the problem. We're not just going to keep putting Band-Aids on top of the issue. We're going to get to the root, the seed. We're going to get to the ideas, the beliefs. We're going to get to your identity around it. Because once you shift your identity, once you guys shift the identity with this, it's going to translate into all areas of your life. It's not just going to be about your health. Every part of you is going to be transformed. Because you're going to start to question things in other areas of your life. You're going to start to get new seeds. You're going to start to forget. Like, you're going to go through this process continually. Not constantly, not every single second of every single day. No, we're not going to be healing, right? We're going to do the work and then we're going to go live our lives as if we're already in the dream. But you have to get to the root of the problem. As long as you continue to just try to take some medication or put something on top of it, it's not going to go away. Okay. So I know for me, like I told you guys, when 2020 came and really shook my whole life up in the most beautiful way. But herpes was not always something that I was so comfortable talking about, that I was creating courses for. I was literally speaking out on social media. Absolutely not. Right. But through this process of understanding myself, understanding how life works, understanding that you can heal from anything, right? It put me in a space where I was able to claim everything that I actually wanted for myself. And now I'm ready to help you guys. We're all walking through this healing journey together. I've done a lot of things in my life around this work, around the life recipe. And now that you guys are here and I can see clearly that you guys need that assistance, you need someone to show you that it's possible. Now I'm here ready to start that journey with you. Right? So every single one of y'all, you deserve freedom, you deserve love, you deserve wholeness. My job and the community's job is to hold your hand through this process. Okay? So I want you guys to understand, you have everything you need right now to create the life of your dreams. You just need the process. You just need the confidence. You just need the hand holding, right? You just need the community to help you stay on track until you physically see it. Okay. Now, typically, right, with everything, this is a 14-week course, right? But this is also the first class that I'm going to have of this course, right? So typically for a course of this, this magnitude, for the transformation, for everything that's included, right? You're typically looking at least $3,000 minimum, right? But I want to make sure that I create products and services that people can use at any point in their life and that they can always come back to, right? So for you guys, for all the masterclass students, right? The $3,333 is just $999. It's a one-time payment. Now we do have payment plans. So I want you guys to click the link and make sure you check those out. You can also use, I believe, Klarna or Afterpay to break it up into even smaller payments. But I want you guys to understand, you're not paying for, right, the actual course, the workbook, the mentorship, the community access. What you're paying for is the lifetime of health, the lifetime of whatever your dream is, the lifetime of actually creating what you want and not putting a Band-Aid on it. The pharmaceutical industry has so much money that is generated from your not knowing, from your ignorance, from your unawareness, from you not knowing that you're God in human form, from you not knowing that the mind controls the body. You believe that everything starts in the body, so you take something that suppresses the symptoms of the body. You don't have to do that. You can get to a point where you are actually health yourself. You are actually transformed yourself. And this is something you always have access to. Now, the other piece of this is every single course, this is something that I pride myself on with the Great School of Life, and I didn't put it on here. But every single course that I teach at the Great School of Life, right, has a commission opportunity. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see you guys. And like you have the link, so you can pull all of this up, right? But I want you guys to understand every single program that I offer, everything at the Great School of Life has a commission opportunity. I believe in giving. You will find that I'm a very giving person, right? And I love giving people money. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I love circulating money in all ways, right? And every course that I offer has a 20% commission opportunity attached to it. That means that anybody that's in the community that goes through the course, immediately, as soon as you enroll, right? If you know someone who also could benefit from this information, right? And you are brave enough to share what you're doing and give them the information they need, right? When they also decide to choose themselves and choose their healing, I cut you a 20% check. So 20% of about $1,000 is about $200 just for you speaking to other people about your experience. It's not required. The only stipulation is that you're enrolled in the course. and you've paid for it. That's the only stipulation. There's no other stipulation to you receiving income for your healing and your transformation, right? So I want you guys to understand, we're going to start this process on the 28th. I want you guys to make a decision. You've tried everything else. Absolutely, Sarah. I appreciate you, love. And it will be uploaded on YouTube today or tomorrow. So you guys will have it as well. I want you guys to understand the life that you want to live, right, is on the other side of that shift in identity, that renewal of the mind and that renewal of the body. I want you guys to have the life that you want to live, but you have to make a decision to actually do it, to actually get there. I can't decide for you. I can give you everything you need. I can give you all the knowledge, but I can't apply it for you. But every single one of y'all has what you need, right, to get to where you want to go. You just need the process and the community to help you get there. And that's what we're here for. Okay. So if you guys have questions, comments, or concerns about anything that I've taught, right, please reach out to me. You have the link. I'm going to also send it to you in an email. So here shortly, you'll receive an email from me with the link as well. I would copy it here just so you have it. It is in my bio as well. So anytime you guys follow me on social media or find me on social media, when you see the Heal, I think it's the Heal Thyself community, you can click there. You can also get back to it. We are all going to start together on the 28th. Okay. So you have until then to go ahead and get whatever you need to get together so that you can invest in yourself. This is not just about herpes. This is the starting point. We are focusing on herpes for the next 3 months, but you can use everything that I'm teaching you for any other area of your life, right? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to make a decision to invest in yourself. Let me know how I can support you. Everything you need, I'm going to send you an email here shortly so that you guys can get whatever you need together. Like I said, they do have payment plan options. I would recommend you do it in full, but of course you can do it whatever works for you. Whatever gets you to the heaven on earth, what you need, that's what I want you to do. Okay. Outside of that, everything else that you guys need for anything that I offer will be in the email that I send you. All the links that are in my bio, you can find everything that I teach, everything that I provide for you guys. And in the meantime, reach out to me. It's 111. Reach out to me and let me know how I can support you. I want to make sure that you have the resources that you need, right? But Heal Thyself is not just about herpes. It's about healing your relationship with yourself. This goes way deeper than a dis-ease that you experience, okay? So let me know how I can support you. You're welcome, Sarah. Like I said, this will be on my YouTube. It'll be on the Healing From HSV YouTube. So there's a specific YouTube for this community. This masterclass will be uploaded there, and then you can watch it later, okay? And then check your emails. Make sure you check your spam. If you haven't been getting the emails, because I've been sending you guys emails all week. So if you haven't been getting the emails, check your spam. But outside of that, I will send you guys an email here shortly with the details so that you can go ahead and invest in yourself. And then I will see you guys on... So you couldn't find me. Okay, you keep saying you couldn't find my TikToks there. Hold on, bro. Get used to everything. Why you can't find it, love? You had me scared for a minute. I'm like, whoa. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Login expired. Oh, okay. So let me figure this out. And then I will I can see. I found your other one though. Okay. So Sarah, yeah, DM me on the other one. Let me see what's going on my TikTok. All right, I'll see you guys later. Let me know how I can support you.